Howdy y'all, Jesse Jameson, Tax Deed Dude. I'm here for a little bit of a somber moment. This is one of my hometowns here close by, and I just wanted to make a little video about the impact that a lot of the natural disasters are having and how it relates to Florida tax deeds specifically. So I'm actually in Gulfport right now. This is one of the hardest hit areas of Helene that just passed through last year. We also got hit by Milton. So first time I've ever actually had anything happen during a hurricane, and I had a tree fall through my house. So that was the least of what some of these people have gone through. I really want to make this video because there's a lot of things that people don't understand about tax deeds, mortgages, and the whole housing market system. A lot of these people are not going to rebuild. Lots are just going to sit here. They're going to get demolished. Somebody, I'm sure investors will pick up quite a few of them, but there's a lot of reasons why somebody will not pay their taxes, including the mortgage companies. The mortgage companies actually get a little bit of an insurance bump back from insurance, but then if they don't make that up, they actually have a governmental kind of like subsidy sort of thing. I'm not sure how to say it. Basically, if it's like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the government will actually back those mortgages, and that's how a lot of people get their first homes, 3% down, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of like red tape going on. Just to kind of give you an idea, this one house behind me, right? So it's completely demolished. It's completely uninhabitable. They had about 6 feet of storm surge on this specific road. The ocean, or excuse me, the bay, a little bit of the bay is right behind us. This is a marina that also got hit. Not too bad. This whole street, like all of these houses, are going to be demolished. So say somebody got one of these houses last year for $400,000. They took out a mortgage for $300,000 and the land's only worth $200,000. Well, obviously the mortgage company is at a $100,000 loss. So instead of, taking that loss, sometimes the government will actually pay back that mortgage and insure it for them, and then they'll just let it go. 2-3 years from now, this is going to be a big deal. That's kind of why I wanted to bring it up now. It's really, really sad what happened. I hope we never see this again, but unfortunately with climate change, it's going to keep coming, right? And Florida is a swamp, completely underwater. So there's just going to be more and more deals for us, unfortunately, at the risk of the people losing their homes, but, just keep up to date. So let's go a little bit deeper on what I was discussing as far as these insurance payouts to the mortgage companies, so to speak. It's not the insurance company that's paying it out. It's actually the government. It's actually you. We live in a very mortgage-driven, capitalistic society, which is great for a lot of people, not so much for the common person that doesn't understand this. So basically, when you buy a house, Joe Schmo Mortgage Company usually gives you a really good option for buying a house, especially if it's your first time, right? There's a lot of government programs for that, and that's great. That's what we need. Everybody should be owning their own home. What happens though is Joe Schmo Mortgage Company, after they sign your documents and you have a mortgage, they will then pass it on to these huge investment companies, and they will buy these massive amounts of mortgage loans and get the government to insure them. Okay? Doesn't happen with all of them. This is just specifically Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and a couple others. But here's exactly what the terminology provides. Mortgages in the U.S. are bundled into mortgage-backed securities, MBS, which are sold to investors. Okay, so right there's my point. These are sold to investors, and investors get their money no matter what. Okay, is really, really interesting is when you come down here to the actual natural disaster clause. The government intervention is basically if a major disaster threatens the mortgage-backed security stability, basically the investors getting their money, government intervention will follow. Here we go again. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they will absorb some of the risk. Okay, this is a government program backed by our taxes, preventing large-scale MBS failure. So basically, if the large investment companies don't make their billions, we as taxpayers have to pay that. Okay. So here we go again with also VA loans, USDA loans. All of these are government-backed securities, okay? So what I was saying before, just like that house that's $400,000 and now has a $100,000 loss, that person, or excuse me, that mortgage company is backed by one of these securities by the government, can actually go and say, hey, I don't want to lose my money, I want my billions, and the government will basically pay them $100,000. So at that point, they've got their money, right? They've got their money, the homeowners got their money from the insurance company. That house is either going to get demolished, it's going to get rebuilt, or it's just going to sit there for 2 years. If it sits there for 2 years, who's going to pay the taxes? Nobody wants to pay taxes on a property they don't want. So again, we're not talking about this happening next month or next week, not even next year, okay? We're looking 2 years ahead because Florida has a tax redemption period on our liens, not the deeds, but the liens, for 2 years. So the mortgage company, the owner of this home, or even another investor that buys this property can go ahead and pay those taxes. It will never show up on the tax deeds, right? But what will happen if it doesn't is 2 years from now, from all these natural disasters, these properties are going to start hitting, okay? And I have a perfect example of that in Bay County 2 years ago. Bay County got hit with not one, but 3 major wildfires all in March 2022, okay? So in Bay County, and that's the Panhandle, normally around Escambia County as well, they lost almost 30,000 acres in Bay County, okay? So I broke that down for you into data, right? I'm a data analyst by trade. I love data. Data speaks, it doesn't lie. So I went ahead and pulled all of the tax deeds that were going up for auction. Okay, so these are totals, not necessarily that sold, but they might have gotten redeemed. They could have gone to lands available. But in 2022, they had 232 tax deed properties. 2023, we dropped, okay? 2024, this is when it would start to hit. We increased, just to show you, 140% since 2022. Okay, so we had an increase of 40%. The year before that, we had a decrease. Okay, we were going downwards. So 2022 to 2023, we actually lost 22% of the tax deeds. They didn't apply for them. Now we're bumping up again. Okay, so now we almost doubled 140% from 78% in 23. Okay, so I know a lot of this data is a little daunting. Just look at the graph. Okay, 2022 is where we had our wildfires. The tax deeds should have gone down because the housing market was getting better. Okay, investors like to get their money. There's a lot more redemptions going on. 2024, boom, it hits again. Okay, 2025, this only looks small because we're only 3 months in. This is through the March sale data. So I know I'm making this in January, February video, but we do have the data about a month ahead, 2 months ahead on most counties. And that's why I took the average per month. In 2022, we had an average of 19 tax deeds per month. 2023 was 15, right? We dropped 4. In 2024, that increased again, 6 tax deeds per month since 2022, and we're on the same record right now. And granted, January through June is a really slow period for tax deeds. The reason being, January through February, everybody's coming out of Christmas and the end of the holidays, and a lot of the taxes are getting paid. The tax offices are a little overwhelmed, so they really don't like to do tax deeds between January and February. They do, you'll still find them, you just won't find them as much. Now, March through June is the tax lien season for Florida. Now, a lot of counties actually don't have tax deed sales through these months, or if they do, they have very few because, again, they're getting overwhelmed trying to prep up for these tax lien sales, which start about mid-May and end in June. They also have to go into July for their over-the-counter sales. Okay, so it's a whole nother ballpark, a whole nother video to talk about, but just know that looking at this data, this proves my point that with all the hurricanes hitting, 2-3 years from now, we're gonna have a lot of explosions of tax deeds. With that said, it's also a good idea to kind of research and see if maybe you want to bid in these counties that just had, natural disasters 2 years ago. If this is a good time you want to get into tax deeds, go ahead and jump in, right? So the housing market is just absolutely crazy right now. It's up, it's down. We don't know what's happening with all the politics and everything going on. Tax deeds, tax liens are such a good investment. 18% return. You can't beat it. You can't beat that. Go ahead and subscribe. I'll do some more videos like this, but this is, real world situations. We're not making, just clickbait videos. All right. These are real situations that actually apply to tax deeds and actually get you in the forefront of the state and seeing what is happening. So see you on the next one.